love blow-off valves. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of the Auto Experience series. That is my review series where we drive around the car, talk about it, then we do some objective tests, measuring the car's curb weight, acceleration times, and then we'll do more of the subjective things. But that's coming up. Stay tuned. What are we in today, folks? We are in a 1991 Toyota MR2 Turbo, another one of the 90s icons from Japan. What does MR2 stand for? Well, it depends what circle you run in. Most consider it to be mid-ship run-around two-seater, which is fun to say. Another camp believes it is a mid-engine rear-wheel drive two-seater. Either way you cut it, it's an MR2. This is, of course, the second gen, the SW20, the first gen being the AW11. What a wonderful car that was. I still love the design of those. Now, these ones did add a lot more power to the game. Design looks like a little tiny baby Ferrari. A lot of people think that, and I agree with them. Design's much more rounded, 90s style. But we do have the turbo, which, yes, we love turbos. We already know that, already established. But we get 200 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque. Those are stout numbers from a 2-liter, especially during this period. I know everything has 300 horsepower now, but early 90s, 200 horsepower was not something to look upon in a sad-face way. We also have a 5-speed manual, the only way you should have this. This exact car only has 115,000 miles. On top of that, it does have some mods, a larger intercooler, HKS controllable bypass valve, kind of like a boost controller. Also has a little HKS boost gauge on the steering wheel. Love it. There's some other small tweaks in there, like the 17-inch Cosi K1 wheels, which are super lightweight and fun, as well as having the brakes from the newer model. The 93 and up's got a better brake system, bigger calipers, so that got swapped onto this one. All good mods, and there's some other ones in there, but overall, a pretty clean example. So it often gets compared with a lot of the other 90s icons, the 300ZX twin turbo, the RX-7, which would have been the FC vintage of this period. What else gets in there? The Supra, which would have been the Mark III at that point. You know, those kind of standard cars. Obviously, if you want a mid-engine, the NSX was available, but for 3 times the price. You could also get yourself a Pontiac Fiero, and although I get down on some Pontiac, I think this is the better car, guys. I really do. Like, just about every aspect of it. Looks, performance, reliability. You get the idea. It's a Toyota. So an affordable mid-engine sports car. What did the MR2 compete against? And what segment did it actually belong in? Because this thing really wasn't one of those big, heavy GT cars like the 3000 GT VR4 or 300ZX or even the Turbo Supra offered by Toyota. So you're like, maybe it doesn't compete with those. That's fine. How about DSMs and things like that? You know, your affordable turbo, sometimes all-wheel drive vehicles. Well, it doesn't really provide direct comparison or competition for that because Toyota had the Celica All-Track at this time, and that's a rally-bred competitor to those cars. Okay, maybe small sports cars. Maybe that's where we should be looking. Miata? Nah, I don't feel that either. The Miata is a lightweight, smaller car, but this has double the horsepower of a Miata and mid-engined. So I kind of feel like the MR2 was its own thing. It was Toyota doing its own, like, came up with its own beat, you know, and then the MR2 was the drummer, drumming along to that beat, and no one else knew the song except for the MR2. I don't know, it's got a great following. I really love it, and it is a bucket list car, and I'm super happy to be driving this one today. You know, it's one of those cars. We all have these cars we grew up admiring, and when we get to drive them, man, it's just a sublime feeling, kind of. So, market-wise, oh boy, here's a fun time. Let's talk about car values, especially about the MR2 turbos. Now, this is crazy, because not a lot of these didn't age well. Mileage is going to be high in most of them, a lot higher than the one we're driving today. Mechanically, they did hold up pretty good. Did many of them get crashed? You bet. We're going to talk about snap oversteer. If you know how to drive, not a big deal, guys. I think the hype, it's overhyped for what it is. If you know how to handle a mid-engine car or anything like that, or drive any kind of sporting car near the limit, you'll be able to catch it. It's stupid stuff. You don't shift the weight mid-corner in any car, to tell you the truth, but snap oversteer, get it out of your mind. So the value of these cars, boy, I'd probably say to get a good running one that's up on maintenance, you're going to be paying about, I'm going to say 10 to 20K range for your average driver. And that's going to have most of its maintenance done. Paint, it did not age well on these ones, including this one that has low mileage. Toyota paint from that period was really not recognized for its quality. So yeah, 10 to 20K for drivers. Of course, north of that for really well-maintained examples. And south of that for this thing barely runs or needs a new turbo. So if you're getting in the market now, these cars are hot and appreciating quickly. So would I say buy one? Absolutely. This is an iconic mid-engine, turbocharged, rear-wheel drive Japanese car. The Toyota badge should encourage you that it's going to last a long time. I'd say go shop one. Okay, aside from telling everyone to go buy Toyota MR2 turbos, and you get the... Just got to keep doing that. So yeah, I'd go for the turbo, guys. If you're really in the market, this is the drama, this is the fun you want, this is the actual performance, and I'll do that blow off flutter all day. Thank you very much. Go find an MR2 Turbo. Let's shake this car down. Let's see what kind of acceleration numbers we can get and how much this thing actually weighs. On to the objective tests. We've got the MR2 Turbo up on the scales. Let's go ahead and check out that curb weight and front and rear balance.
I was a little shocked that the MR2 Turbo weighed over 2,700 pounds, giving its diminutive appearance. With 45% of the weight over the front and 55% over the rear, the MR2 Turbo is a well-balanced vehicle. It also displays some of that bias towards the rear, which is common with mid-engine vehicles. The MR2 Turbo is a punchy little machine, pairing nimble mid-engine handling dynamics with turbocharged thrust. Its relatively low curb weight further adds to its directness. Steering is 90s tight, but full of delectable feedback. I find the MR2 Turbo to excel in low to moderate technical sections of road. This vehicle maneuvers through the canyons with little difficulty, even when pushed. The rear felt planted, and I had no fear of snap oversteer, which to me is really just an over-exaggerated malady of the MR2 artificially hyped by internet boogeymen. The MR2 Turbo is a blast in the twisty sections. Crisp steering feel, mid-engine balance, and the surge of turbo boost on corner exit makes for a splendid occasion. Cute mini Ferrari you got there. Honestly though, I see it too. The previous gen MR2, the AW11, was boxy and wedgy. Teehee. Goodness. Toyota took a major step forward into the 90s with this generation, and it honestly stands up very well still from a design standpoint. Pop-up headlights will always have my heart, but the dimensions of the MR2 can't be understated. The flat rear glass and those unmistakable rear vents shout, "My engine is not conventionally located. Look at me." I really dig on the rounded front end and how cohesive it is as a whole, but the rear is where the party's at with the MR2. The integrated spoiler, taillight design, and in this case, large aftermarket exhaust tips protruding is so perfect 90s sports car that it pains me to stare too long. The MR2's exterior is still as exciting today as it was when it was released. Toyota really poured all the exciting design touches into the exterior, leaving the interior a bland, albeit a highly functional space to occupy. That being said, interior materials are quite a drastic step up in quality over the previous generations, which are often found cracked and damaged heavily. This model's relatively low mileage certainly lends to its very solid condition. At 6 feet tall, I'm a little cramped in the cabin, but I found the other features, steering wheel, shifter, pedals, to be ergonomically sound. I would say the highlight of this particular MR2 interior is the aftermarket HKS boost gauge. Underneath the hood, power is supplied by Toyota's near-legendary 3S GTE engine, a 2-liter dual overhead cam design complete with turbocharger, providing 200 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque, which are very stout numbers for the day and this displacement. This one may even be making a little bit more than it with its upgraded intercooler and boost controller. I've found the power level to be perfectly paired with the handling dynamics of the MR2. The turbo spool's fairly low in the rev range, especially compared to other turbo cars from this period. The 3S GTE also spins all the way up to its 7,000 RPM redline without dropping off. The aftermarket blow-off valve adds a little extra drama and makes for a near irresistible scenario where you will find yourself releasing the throttle at key moments to revel in that sweet, sweet wastegate flutter.
Just gotta keep doing that.
I really enjoy a simple 5-speed manual from the 90s. Sure, they're not as refined as later 6-speed units, but they are workhorses. Paired with a power plant that makes power over a wide band, I actually like the longer gearing usually found in these units. The manual in the MR2 Turbo allowed for me to keep the car in boost. When off throttle, for say a corner, that thrust was just a toe push away at post apex. The shifter feel was fairly direct and clutch engagement was on the lighter side. Not once did the gearbox get grumpy being submitted to 7,000 RPM upshifts. Was the MR2 Turbo Toyota's real 90s sports car icon? Yes, the Mark IV Supra is the popular one, the high school star quarterback, the more powerful car, the most represented in automotive film, and thusly the most valuable today. But which car is the better handler? Which car stands out far more? Which one is so much more original in design? Toyota refined its mid-engine sports car recipe with the SW20 MR2 Turbo. The car was now faster than its predecessor, better handling, and subjectively better looking. With tuning, it could also make some serious power. I argue that the MR2 Turbo was the better 90s sports car offered by Toyota, especially during the early 90s. Keep in mind, the Supra Mark III was the model currently available, as the Mark IV wouldn't show up till '93 in the States. Where else can you find a turbocharged mid-engined experience for a decent price, with Toyota reliability baked in? Only one place, the Toyota MR2 Turbo.